Welcome to Business One-to-Ones with OJ Lopez. Business One-to-Ones is a web show about your local entrepreneurs and their businesses, starting with the members of my very own BNI investment chapter in Cebu City. We want to know more about their businesses, and we figured to document the conversations because it might give value to many, especially our fellow BNI members. So this episode is brought to you by REMAX PRO.
Do you need help in selling or leasing your premium property? Do you plan to invest in a home for your family? Or a property investment that can grow your money? For all your real estate needs, let REMAX Pro help you, the world's #1 real estate brand. With a global network of more than 120,000 agents and over 8,000 offices worldwide.
And we are now in Cebu.
Visit REMAX Pro office at City Times Square 2, across Park Mall, or send us a message here. Like our Facebook page to get updates and for future reference.
Our guest for this episode is the General Manager of Zero Pest Control Services, Cebu. He has been 11 years in the business, and previously he held positions as a director of a BPO company and also the CEO and owner of Cebu Premier Realty and Brokerage. And currently resides in Cebu City, and he enjoys old school cars, so Xbox, and he has a dog, American Bully, and he also loves food, dining out, and going to the movies. And his burning desire is he would like to retire before 50 and run his business strategically, and to spend the rest of his life enjoying vacation with family, and to wake up whatever time he chose to wake up. And his keys to success is if you think you're beaten, then you are. And the most successful people are not the smartest ones. The most successful ones are the most passionate ones who doesn't give up easily. Those who persevere. So without further ado, the General Manager of Zero Pest Control Services, Mandy Medel. Mandy, welcome to the show.
OJ, thank you for having me. Thank you.
All right. So in our BNI weekly meetings, right, we have been given opportunities to present our businesses. So if it's gonna be your turn during our weekly presentation, what would it be?
Good morning, all. My name is Mandy Medel, again, General Manager for Zero Pest Control Services Cebu. We provide pest control and disinfection services for both residential and commercial establishments. There's an increased demand for disinfection services as Cebu transitions to GCQ as of June 1. Given this, I would like to be connected with any type of business or office planning to open soon. Zero Pest is here to help fight this invisible war against COVID, giving you that peace of mind you deserve. Again, this is Mandy Medel, Zero Pest Control Services. Feel free to reach out to me anytime.
So Mandy, for example, in conversation starters, right? How would like we refer you to like how do we refer you to business owners if for example we know that they have already facilities and things like that, especially right now, right? It's very that's prepared with the conversation starter. So how would you recommend us to do so?
The good thing is, when you talk about pest control services, a lot of the businesses, you say hotel, restaurants, even homeowners, pest control is very typical for them. So when you ask them, do you have a pest control provider? It's very straightforward. It's either they have one and then they're happy with their provider or not, right? Or they don't have one and they know that there's a need for that. So again, it's pretty straightforward. Usually, if I was to put myself on someone to pitch the pest control services to a friend, again, case to case, right? Depends who you're talking to. Let's say to a friend, I would directly ask, do you have a pest control service provider providing service for you guys? I think that's a pretty straightforward Kickstarter for a conversation. Um, Obviously, another tip I would give would be, because of the COVID, because of what's happening right now, there's a demand for disinfection services. So we can also ask our potential clients, have you thought about having your office disinfected or your place disinfected right before opening? I think that's a good pitch. Again, those pitches are, I'd say, pretty straightforward, because the need also for pest control services are, it's a basic need for
Right.
businesses.
Mhm. All right. So going to the next, let's learn more about your history, how
Mm.
you started with the pest control business. So if you could just walk us through uh, all that, how did you start your business from what I learned from the BPO industry, right? You have been a director for a BPO company, and then your next uh, stint was in the pest control service. Uh, how did that came to be?
Yeah, right. Funny, right? Because not everyone, when they, prepare for work, for life during college, almost never would you see anyone think about, I want to start my pest control business
Right, right,
after school, right? Or
right,
something like
right, right.
that. But really, for me, I took up business management in school. When I graduated, I joined the BPO company. So it was one of the first BPO companies in the Philippines, one of the pioneers, which is eTelecare. This was back in 2001. Actually, during my graduation day, I did not attend because I had work. Anyway, um, I stayed with the BPO company for about 14, 15 years. Again, I started out as an agent, but the past 3, 4 years, um, I was as a director for Convergys, handling multiple accounts. And then until about 3 years back, that's also when I got married. I decided to resign. I've always wanted to put up my own business. Um, and so I took that leap of faith. I resigned right after my wedding. Um, and then I have a friend who's actually a broker. We thought about starting a brokerage company, a real estate brokerage company. Um, and I was all up for that because during my stint with the BPO company, at some point when I was about to buy my house, I thought about joining a brokerage. Um, for the purpose, two reasons why. One would be to get additional discount as I buy a
Right.
house, to get the commission for myself. Um, and next would be to look at the opportunity as well. When I listened to it and I joined the real estate brokerage firm, I found that it was a good opportunity um, as a business and as to earn money. And so, when I resigned about 3 years back, it was a perfect timing. It was my partner actually for the brokerage is we call it Bilas. Our wives are actually
Yeah.
sisters. So we started Cebu Premier Brokerage. We started from scratch. Almost no one helping us. But I'd say, we've been running the business for about 3 years now. Doing good so far. Until recently, I I I met up with a friend who actually owns Zero Pest Control Services in Manila. He's been running the business for about 10, 11 years now.
Wow.
He went to Cebu and there was an opportunity for Zero Pest in Cebu because he had an influx of clients here.
Mhm.
His goal really was not to, of course, earn money as well, but one of his goals was not for it to take away his time because he had a family, he had kids he had to take care of, he wanted to spend time with. So he wasn't so happy, going back and forth Cebu and Manila. So he offered to me the business. It actually made sense for me because someone in the real estate industry, owning a brokerage, I had every so often we talk to property owners, and that's a very good market for pest control services. That's how it started actually.
Wow. Okay.
So it's been running for officially since December, January,
Mhm.
recently. It's been running for just about 6 months
Okay.
now. That's
And
it.
how's the Cebu market? How's the Cebu market for the 6 months that you have been running the Cebu?
Good, good. The first January, February, there was some learning curve for me. I was just starting to, figure out how to go about marketing and what have you. But so far, as of today, I've had about more than more or less 80 clients,
Mhm.
80.
Wow.
And for the 80 clients, a fourth of that or 25% would be regular customers or customers who has yearly contracts with me.
Yeah.
When I say
Wow.
yearly contracts, I provide services on a monthly basis.
Right. Right. So these are for the condominiums and commercial spaces that would regularly require disinfection and pest control, right? So
Right, right. So most of my yearly, a big bulk of it would be for termites,
okay.
for termite control. So I have some also for general pest control. For the disinfection services, that would be the remaining, I don't know, 50%.
Mhm.
Those would be because everyone's still on a waiting game right now.
Right.
Not sure if they have to do that. How regular do they need to do that?
Mhm.
So for now, it's more of one time, and then I'd receive a call the following month to do it again. But no contracts yet, like a yearly contract.
Okay. Okay. Gotcha. Now let's talk about a current topic, right? So I am talking about the COVID-19 pandemic, which have affected, a lot of businesses and jobs for that matter. And how did the because I have also spoken to our fellow BNI members that during the pandemic their business actually spiked because there is healthcare, things like that. But
Yeah.
there's also our members who have been really affected, like those in tourism and hospitality space. So how about for you? How did the pandemic affected your business? And what are you doing to mitigate its effects?
Okay. So there was definitely an impact because it's a physical business. We physically serve our clients at their homes.
Mhm.
Because of the pandemic, um, obviously people were uncomfortable inviting, services or anyone to go inside the houses and what have you. If you think about offices also, let's say restaurants and what have you, a lot of them have stopped. And because of that, there's a temporary closure or a stop to the need for pest control services.
Mm.
Um, so yes, it had an impact to us, but then a part of our business, which has been there for the past 10 years, is the disinfection services. To be honest with you, in the past, there's really not many who would require disinfection services.
Mm. Yeah.
Um, but has been some for our company. An example would be, let's say there's a outbreak in a school for flu and what have you.
Right.
They'd call us for that.
Mm.
But obviously there's a higher demand for that given the pandemic today. So the services kind of shifted from the general pest control and the termite
Mm.
protection to disinfection services. But I'd say both would still have a demand for now.
Okay.
Meaning
Yeah.
the general pest control, while it went down, there's still some demand for that.
Okay. And for also for our members in the property space, that usually when you build a house or build a structure, you would poison the soil and things like that. Do you also do that kind of service?
That's right. We do that service. There's three services we offer. First would be general pest control services, which I
Mhm.
mentioned. Next would be disinfection services. Lastly would be termite monitoring and protection. That's part of our termite services, termite elimination services, which is the pre-construction termite protection.
Okay.
So before you build a house,
Right.
like you mentioned, you re-poison the soil. It's a
Mhm.
three-phase approach actually, but we poison the soil as protection for termites.
Yes. Right. Okay, cool. I learned that from architecture school, although I don't practice being an architect right now, but still, something has remained.
Ac- Good. Actually, OJ, when Zero Pest started here in Cebu, we had some clients the past year or two. Again, it's coming from Manila, but our clients wanted us to handle their accounts here.
Mhm.
So what we did, we had third party pest control services doing it for us or
Mhm.
representing us. But then again, last year there was a big project. It's a building actually, which
Mhm.
required 6 months to 1 year working on the soil treatment.
Wow.
It's that big, so that's where the demand was for the owner in Manila to go back and forth Manila and Cebu.
Mhm.
Um, that's what brought him here, and that's what started our conversation.
Okay, right. So how do you spot those opportunities? So being in the BPO industry and handling so many accounts, as I mentioned to you before, right? I also, I'm a product of the BPO industry, and spotting these opportunities, whether it's for example, for us, solar panel sales account, or a for a or even a product for elderly. So all of these accounts coming from the BPO sector. And how do you spot these opportunities? As you have mentioned, after your stint in the BPO, you went into real estate, and then pest control service. How is there a manner of thinking that you evaluate these opportunities?
When you say opportunities, OJ, opportunities when
Business
I
opportunities, yeah, yeah. As you mentioned, right, na there could have been a lot of businesses you can dive in and have yourself involved
Right.
with, right? But and for you, is it a matter of who your business partner is, or is it the market demand for it, or is it a passion that you
Right,
want to do
right.
it? Yeah. How do
Okay,
you determine that?
okay. Couple of things. One would be really based on past experiences. No. Um, Again, before I started with Zero Pest, it was the brokerage that started my stint as a businessman. Um, I saw that opportunity because of the network I had when I was in the BPO company. Someone introduced it to me, and I listened to it. And it made perfect sense, right? It made perfect sense. I would say, OJ, it was just it's really nothing that I thought about, that I always had the intention to explore. I think the opportunity came about in the right time for me, and it made sense during that time. An example would be, when I resigned from work, I really wasn't sure what business to run. I'm passionate about, cars. I actually have a car wash business, but that's a small scale business. Um, but then again, I met up with I'm not sure what you call it, Bilas, or our sisters, or no, our wives are sisters actually. Um, he was a broker, and I had some experience before selling properties, so it was a good match. So that's how it came about. Next would be on the, I'd say I mentioned earlier, right timing, right? Um, a friend shared to me Zero Pest Control Services, and it was a good opportunity given we were in the real estate industry. Um, if I was probably in a different industry, um, when he offered to me the pest control services, I might have um, not gotten it. I'm not actually sure. But during the time he offered it to me, it was just a perfect time because we were working around the real estate world. So again, just to summarize, it's just timing. It made a good it had a good business sense to it. Um, and the people I was working with was people I trust.
Mm-hmm.
So I think those gave me the triggers to operate it.
All right. Yeah, that makes sense. And for the people who are employed right now and who want to follow your footsteps and resign and establish their own business. And then I know before when I was still employed and then I was have this entrepreneurial itch. I wanted to start my own business. So, but it's scary, right? Now, there's no 1530 anymore, right? So
Right.
how would you advise for those people who are employed right now and who want to, as you have mentioned, take that leap of faith?
Right. Leap of faith. So it's not easy. It's something you have to plan for. When before I resigned, obviously I had bills to take care of, expenses and what have you, paying for the house, for the rent and what have you. Um, I I I first is save money, right? On a rainy day, you need to have something or a resource for you to dig in.
Mhm,
They
right.
save money. Uh, but at the same time, when I reside, I did not waste time. You know,
Mhm,
um, I explored. a lot of options for me.
Mhm.
I consulted a lot of friends, which made sense. And together, along with my opinion, other people's opinion, gave me an idea what would work. I'd say it's not easy, you know. I did invest. I'm not gonna go into details. I did invest with some other small businesses that did not work for me, which was obviously a cost for me. Um, but here's what I can say. Um, while it's a risk, you know, when you see successes happen, um, you can definitely tell yourself it's all worth it.
Mhm.
Um, and I always had this at the back of my mind. Um, when I resigned. When I was working before, I was working very hard. I was working 12 hours in the office, working during Christmas. Before I sleep, I think about my next day, think
Mhm.
about problems in the office. Um, I, I if I think about it, if I just spend, let's say, 70%, 60% of the effort
Right.
I did while I was working for
Mhm.
my own business,
Right.
I know it will be a lot more, successful and fulfilling for me. Just 60%. I guess the problem is, you know, we have our own time and what have you. What happens is we lose that sense of responsibility
Mhm.
because we're not in a time in time out,
Right. Right. Right.
schedule and what have you. But if you have that discipline, um, uh, there's no reason for it to go your way. So those are my 2 cents.
Wow. All right. Okay, now we are actually doing this one-to-ones because we are a member of this organization called the Business Network International. And to make this an official one-to-one, we will go to our games exchange, which is an acronym for goals, accomplishments, interests, networks, and skills. So, Mandy, let's start with the letter G, goals. What are your short-term and long-term goals for your business?
Okay, short-term goals. Um, by the way, I'm not very familiar with the games exchange yet, but short-term goals for me, um, obviously as in Cebu, Zero Pest is just about 6 months old. My short-term goal for me would be to establish the business properly, and I do that by being able to set up my manpower, getting the correct employees to do the job. um, Obviously, I cannot sustain that also without getting good amount of clients. As I start the year, the first 5 months, I have about eight. I mentioned earlier about I have about 80 clients, with about 25% of that as regular clients, meaning with yearly contracts. I would like to end the year with close to 250, 300 clients, and with a bigger mix of those that I serve regularly. If it's 25% now, I'd like it to be in the 50, 60% range as I end the year. That's my goal.
All right. And then for your long-term goal for Zero Pest, do you see this as to have a nationwide operations, or you're only focusing solely on Cebu because the market here is bigger? So what are your thoughts on
Yeah, for the short, long term,
that?
um, I'm concentrating in Cebu right now, but my title actually is General Manager for Visayas. Um, I would like to explore other provinces. Probably Bohol because it's very near Cebu. I would like to explore also Bacolod because that's my hometown. My family is actually from Bacolod. And it will be a little easier for me to set up in Bacolod as well. My goal is sometime next year to be able to run businesses for Zero Pest in Bacolod.
All right. Cool. So let's now go to letter A, which stands for accomplishments. So what do you see as your accomplishment so far in business and in your career in general?
Okay, accomplishments. One thing which drives me is being able to see that we're able to help other people. Um, Aside from the pest control itself, right? Are the people we work with, our employees. In the brokerage, the business I have on the side, um, we have some agents. We have a lot of agents who's able to earn a living by selling properties, and we've been there supporting them. It's always gratifying to see that they're becoming successful, and they're able to earn a living for their families. So um, that gives me a sense of accomplishment, right? Um, Next would be specific to Zero Pest. I think it's the same thing. It's not just me that I want to be successful. Um, it's the people I work with as well. Um, for example, would be my employees or the technicians, right? Um, I'm thinking of ways how to um, improve not just on a help. I mean, help. Think of ways how to help them improve, not just on their work but on a personal level as well. Um, so that's always been my goal, you know. And I say that's something that would really make me happy if I see them, grow with the company. I'm even thinking about, as a group, we think about a co-op, we think about, a small business which can help them as well. I haven't finalized that because we just started for Zero Pest, but that's something at the back of my mind. Lastly, would be I've always been a believer for giving back to the community. One of the things we've always thought about would be how we give back to the community. Before, we had some events within the companies we run. We had some events like charity events, giving food and what have you. The only problem to that is that it's short term, right? We give food, um, and then right after that, what, right?
Yeah.
So we're rethinking about that. We're thinking about maybe we can identify a kid or two to start with, and then spend for the children's school and what have you. I think that would be something more meaningful for us. That's something we look forward to doing as well.
Wow. All right. So not just a shotgun approach, right? So
Yeah,
tutorial here after you feed, some
yeah.
styrofoam to kids, right? And
Right, right.
then having something really sustainable that would have really impact in lives, right? Not just
Right.
for one meal.
Nothing wrong about give. Um, it's also good to have those one day events for kids and what have you. I think, but I wanna go to the other direction where it's more, long term. But what's good about which I encourage everyone to do that still, especially during now that we have a pandemic
Mhm.
is because, aside from the food that children would eat during that day, they will always remember that day that someone helped them out.
Right.
And when they grow up, when they are more blessed, since they knew and experienced how to appreciate that, they will do that on their own as well, right?
Right. Yeah.
It's so that's I think that's a good impact of that as well. So I still encourage that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
All right. Okay, so let's now go to letter I, which stands for interest. So, what are your hobbies and interests that you can share to our BNI members?
hobbies. Okay. During the pandemic, no. Hobbies.
Pre and post, pre, during and
Repos.
post.
No. Um, hobbies. Okay. Um, when I was young, I played football for my school. So that's something as a sport. That's something I am very interested with. Um, I've been. I like not restoring, but I like. I enjoy old cars.
How
Um,
many old cars, vintage cars?
just a few, just a few. Um, so I enjoy having them. It may be um, painful at times. I'm not sure if you saw my post yesterday, OJ,
Yeah,
but
that's why she
I
gave up.
went I went to SNR, and then I went to Shell to buy something. Next thing I know, the clutch wouldn't work. So I left it there overnight. The next day, with the mechanic, the side mirror was no longer there. So
Right. Yeah.
what else? I love dogs. I have an American bully. His name is Stark. I saw you also had a German Shepherd, OJ.
All right, right.
Actually, I'm looking for a German Shepherd, a German Shepherd puppy. But I love dogs as well. Lastly, um, probably not just for me, but for everyone. Having a vacation is always a good thing, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
I That's something I enjoy a lot. So
Hopefully we can have a vacation. Everybody can have a
yes.
vacation.
Oh, grabe.
Talagang,
uh,
all right. So, okay, let's go to the next letter, which is letter N for networks. So, what are your current and previous, social networks and from school or professional organizations that you belong to that you can share to our BNI members?
okay. Um, to be honest with you, it's the first time I think that I joined a network like BNI. Um, in the past, I'd say, when I was in the BPO, when I was in the BPO company, I think that's a network itself, right?
Yes, yes.
When I was in the BPO company, the site I was handling would probably be around more or less 1,000 employees.
Mhm.
I'm working with. Um, that's a network, and then here in Cebu as well, because I'm not a. I consider myself now a local Cebuano since I've been here for 11 years. Um, but in Cebu, some of my network would be my wife's friends as well. She grew up here, so that's a good network. I have some of my clients actually for the business are coming. Both the brokerage and the pest control services are coming from my wife's network. So yeah, one of the two of the folks I invited for the next BNI meeting on Thursday are actually a network of mine from the BPO company.
Okay. All right. And lastly, let's go to letter S, which stands for skills. What are the skills uh, that you possess right now that you can share to our BNI members? And what are the
Possess.
skills yeah, that you still want to acquire and develop? Uh,
Okay, skills. I'm I'd say I'm very general, no hardworking, but really, while it's a general term, it's always worked for me, right? When I started the BPO company and what have you, um, I never thought I was the smartest person, but I had grit, you know. I was always, working hard. If I had to stay long, I would stay long.
mm,
Um, if there were challenging times, I did not give up. I actually learned from them. Um, and a lot of times, I was the last, if needed to be, for me to be the last one to go home from the office to make things happen. I would do that. So I think that's what's worked for me. Yeah, did I answer your question?
yeah, yeah. All right. So we have actually a very interesting conversation so far, and we have uh, time for one more question for this episode. And I want it to be more inspirational of some sort. Right? So the question would be, what lessons in life and in business you would want to share to young people who wants to have a successful career as well?
Okay. Who wants to have a successful career? One is mindset, right? You have to have the right mindset. Um, if I've come across a lot of negative people, right? Um, if as early as now you think you are beaten, then you are. But if as early as now your mindset is allowing you to think, okay, what do I need to do to make this successful? um, this is a challenge, I know. What do I need to do to overcome this? What do I need to learn this? Why do I need to do that? And so on and so on. Versus the type of person who thinks with, this is difficult. This will be difficult for me. This is blah 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 blah.
Right, right.
Um, I think I think that's what's differentiating successful versus unsuccessful people. Um, so yeah, I think that's one of the key important ingredient to be successful. It's really the mindset, right? Other things, you might not have experience from whatever you're planning to do. That's fine. But if you have the right mindset, you'll have the energy to face challenges, and any barriers you'll have in the future. So that's it.
All right. On that note, Mandy Medel, the general manager of Zero Pest Control. Thank you so much for being with us, and you gave us so much value with your insights and presenting to us your business. So, Mandy, thank you so much.